Before I get into my review, a quick note that very soon I will be uploading a special video. It's my passion project for this year, and I am very proud of how it came out. So keep your eyes peeled. You will know it when you see it. Now, on to the movie. The Transporter Refueled. In my opinion, it's actually pretty good. The story follows former Special Ops mercenary Frank Martin. He works as a driver and has 3 rules he lives by. One day he gets a job driving 3 women. They have a plan to take down a Russian kingpin. The job goes against Frank's rules, but with his father being held captive, Frank has no choice but to drive. You know, it's funny. Out of all the franchises out there, I would have never ever thought The Transporter would make it to 4 installments. 3 is standard. 4 says we mean business and implies a new trilogy. As a fan of the first trilogy, I was very curious how this would play without Jason Statham. He's basically why myself and others watched those movies. Without him, I was very afraid this would feel like a transporter and not the transporter. It adds insult to injury that prior to watching this film I had never seen Ed Skrein, the lead actor, in anything. But now having watched the film I can say that even though for me Statham will always be the transporter, Ed Skrein did a really good job. What surprised me most was how well the father and son dynamic worked. No previous transporter has ever dealt with Frank's parents. And when I found out in this film his father would be featured, a question was raised for me. Well, several actually, but the main one was, why are we meeting him now? Honestly, couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is, his character adds flavor, and I enjoyed all of his scenes. He's a fun character. From a story standpoint, I think this transporter has the best story idea. It gives us female characters that have a strong motivation and are not just written in for the second act sex scene. In regard to the main attraction, aka the action, it plays out like it should. Fast, exciting, full of tension, and showcased so we can see what is going on. My notes for improvement fall under story choices and the realism. I enjoyed every action scene in this film, but the fight scenes feel rehearsed. They lack that air of spontaneity that can add charm, and without that charm, they're not as cool. As for the story choices, I failed to understand why the story had to revolve around the sex business. It's a backdrop that's been used in so many other films, it's gotten to the point where I'm just like, just use something else. There has to be some other backdrop that's original and, you know, less depressing. A second choice is the sex scene. It is acted quite well, and thankfully is not explicit, but it could have been cut. I know it's a guaranteed method of getting folks to buy a ticket, but personally, I would rather have seen another car chase, and preferably one motivated by story. My overall impression is that while this is not a great action movie, if you are a fan of this series, it is worth checking out. I give The Transporter Refueled 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have an awesome day.